and sound infrastructure. The problem with dealing with it is that typically roads and bridges are funded through local property taxes, which is already a heavy burden. So we've got a double whammy there that somehow as a state we need to figure out how to deal with.
We've kind of touched upon new manufacturing and industry, economic development. Let's kind of talk about downtown Main Street. How is the economy affecting the businesses around the town squares, the downtowns, and the communities across Iowa?
I would take a swing at that. In the aggregate, I'd say the retail economy of Iowa is being subjected to the same exact kind of forces that the retail economy is in all across the country, and that is all the retail is moving to big boxes around the edge of the cities and to the larger malls. And as we add more retail capacity in large malls or in the big boxes around the periphery of the cities, we're seeing the same difficult circumstance arising in rural areas where they have a very hard time maintaining retail, as we have in the central cities and the downtowns of our biggest cities, Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Davenport, maintaining retail. We're seeing that in downtown Des Moines and in Cedar Rapids and Davenport and Dubuque and our bigger cities, we're seeing that really work to transition those downtown, the real estate there, as housing and condominiums and affordable rentals rise and the smaller independent businesses move downtown. We're seeing more communities being willing to invest in community development in their downtown areas and to use tax increment financing and other things to help create incentives. And right along with that, in terms of attracting and maintaining people to downtowns and main streets, it happens in Iowa, probably not coincidentally, that so many of those are placed on rivers and streams, and all of our biggest cities have all got big major rivers, whether it's the Mississippi or the Missouri or the Des Moines or through Cedar Falls and Iowa City and through Ames, big rivers. And we're seeing people return to those riverfronts, return to those downtowns. And it's a long, involved process for the communities and for the state and for the business community to turn around those downtown and main street spaces and adapt them to the economies of the future. But Iowa communities are actually doing well in that respect. Des Moines, 3, 4 big malls, including a brand new mall a few years ago. Very difficult for downtown Des Moines to absorb that. But we're really seeing a revival downtown. And we just saw this wonderful statistic from, was it Forbes, coming out and naming Des Moines as one of the great places to live and to do business. So we're going through a transition. The Culver administration has made a commitment to Main Streets in 2 ways. Number one, they added additional funding to the state Main Street Iowa program, and this year we were able to add 4 more communities to that. We're able to just keep adding a few more communities. Over the long term, we're producing a lot of good results from that. And second, as you described, increasingly interest in LEED certification and better building. You shouldn't think only then about just new construction using new techniques and new materials, but really the most sustainable activity, of course, is to reuse existing buildings and to adapt the infrastructure which is already in place. Those places are downtown and on main streets. So we're definitely in a transition in our downtowns and our main streets. Many of our communities, Dubuque, Davenport, Des Moines, many of our county seat towns are actually looking pretty good and sprucing up. We're making a transition. They're struggling, and it looks like they're succeeding.
I've got a great example of why I think Iowans will succeed. A farmer down in southern Iowa was asked, what is your biggest cash crop? And he said, women with SUVs. And I can say this because I'm a woman. And the gentleman asked, what do you mean, women with SUVs? And he said, well, they come in to buy hay for their horses, and they get frustrated with the sticks that get stuck to the carpet after they remove the hay bale from the car. So I decided to wrap those hay bales with cellophane. So suddenly my $4 hay bale turns into a $10 hay bale. And he's selling them like gangbusters. So that's the type of innovation that I think Iowans use and learn how to benefit, and everybody benefits. So.
On the state as a whole. isn't very often I get speechless. On the state as a whole, is there some sectors of the state, portions of the state that are doing better than another? Are we seeing, like, say, like Southeast Iowa, like the Atomo, Burlington, that?
Everybody will have an opinion on this subject. I'll point out that last week, the Census Bureau released new population growth figures for the state of Iowa. And I noticed in the Des Moines Register, I'm sure other people reported it differently, but in the Des Moines Register, the headline I found there was that 76 Iowa counties have lost population since 2000. These are the rural communities. And that Dallas County had grown 40%. Those are really not the big news in that story. The big news in that story, in terms of what's growing, is that the Des Moines metro area added 65,000 people since 2000. The Des Moines metro area is 5 counties, centered on Polk, grew 65,000 people. Okay, that's about like adding Ottumwa to the Des Moines metro area, adding Ottumwa and Mason City to the Des Moines metro area. That from a population of about 450,000 to grow 65,000 in 7 years. The Des Moines metro area is growing very well. And of course that includes the counties surrounding Polk. But Polk added 45,000 people. Since 2000, Polk County's added 45,000 people. That is a pretty substantial growth rate. So I would say that and at the same time, the census figures showed, I think, a few months before that Des Moines had lost 6,000 population. So the city of Des Moines lost about 6,000 population since 2000. Polk County has added 43,000. So what that is, that's a suburbanization of Polk County and suburbanization of the metro area. But at this point, the Des Moines metro area added more people than the Des Moines metro area, which is about a third larger and has historically been growing faster. So the Des Moines greater metro area at this point is growing really very well.
Yeah, we grew by about 11% from 2000 to 2007, which if you look at the major Midwest metropolitan areas, it's probably one of the fastest growth rates in the Midwest. So we've been very fortunate in working with Iowa Department of Economic Development and in all of our public sector in developing programs and policies to help business growth here, and also highlighting our public and private officials for investing in some of our important quality of life infrastructures too, which help recruit and retain talent here with the Science Center and the new library downtown, the Principal Riverwalk and others. So the Des Moines area, as Mike mentioned, is doing well and has been recently ranked 4th by Forbes as the best place for careers and for business. So.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
From the statewide perspective, I thought that study was important because it not only identified growth